All right, for today's video review, we're going to be taking a look at Hexbug JunkBots Jack Static 2.0 question mark. I mean, officially he's still just called Jack Static, but this is the version of Jack Static from the factory collection, which is basically JunkBot's version of a Series 2. So they've taken a few characters from Series 1 and sort of revamped them from Series 2. And of course, included in that was Jack Static, who is like basically the poster boy for JunkBots. So yeah, he looks pretty nice in his new form here. Obviously, we'll bring on the original Jack Static for comparison in a bit. But you can see he's got the same sort of recorder or radio rather head, and his little toxic waste body, this time in blue. He's got the previous Jack Static had this piece as a peg leg, the the telescope there, and he's electing to hold it as an object, which is it's cool if it weren't for the huge ball joint on the end of the the telescope. Kind of messes with the look there. You could cut that off if you want, I guess, but then you'd really be uh, it would just be a handheld item. You wouldn't really be able to use it for any other things, but I don't know. I've got like 3 of these parts anyway, so I probably wouldn't mind, but I don't know. And in terms of articulation, he's pretty similar to the original, obviously with a few differences with his different limbs here. The head can kind of move around like that. He's got his little paper hat there, which is still adorable. Really great piece. I'm pretty sure it's the exact same piece. Yeah, with the exact same decals as the original one, but you can still wiggle that around. This shoulder, can move around here. This elbow is a little weak, but it can bend. His hand is obviously on a ball joint. This arm can move around. Elbow, wrist, the same. It's got the same sort of sword made out of half of a gardening shears as the original Jack Static, although obviously holding it in his other hand. This leg can kind of wiggle around and sort of bend at the knee there with those parts. And then this one obviously can wiggle around, bend at the knee, and he's got the boot. I feel like this piece here feels a little bit tighter than the original one. Not sure why. It's probably just like variance in the joint tolerances. But yeah, he's pretty nice. Like the original Jack Static, he's got this little badge of the little compass on his chest there to kind of go in with that pirate theme. And just like the original, it doesn't like really stay in there very well. It's like these holes here are at like such a steep angle that like the peg that it plugs into doesn't really have like a lot to bite onto. But it looks okay. I probably prefer him without it just because it falls off so easily and I don't want to lose it. But it's there and worth mentioning. In terms of the modules, he's pretty similar to the original Jack Static. If you want to put on the vibrating module, he's got his little section here on the back. You can just plug it in like that. And then, I mean, with him, it kind of works. It makes his chest piece fall off almost immediately because it was barely in there to begin with, but that actually works pretty well. Oh, he dropped his sword. He tends to he's a little bit more stable than the original Jack Static just because he has 2 full legs. So that worked pretty well. I don't think I'd actually tried that one out on him before. The motor piece, if you want to plug that in, does the same thing as before and just wiggles his arms back and forth, which is still pretty cool. I like that. I wonder if you can get it so he's kind of like pulling the telescope up to his eye. That's pretty cool. I like that. Surprised that I got his elbow strong enough to to do that, because usually it just flops right down. But that's pretty cool functionality. And then the LED piece, just like with the original, there's a good number of places you can put it. You can put it back here onto the back of the oil drum there. He also has 2 spots on both of his eyes, which you can plug it into. Ooh, he's kind of falling apart here. Dropping his sword. He doesn't need his sword. That's okay. But we'll put his arm back on. And then when you turn that on, it kind of lights up the toxic ooze spilling out of the vat there, and then also lights up his eyes. That works pretty well. And yeah, so yeah, I think like really all three modules work with him pretty well. I mean, really all three modules worked pretty well with the original Jack Static too. I guess, well, no, the vibrating one didn't, but the other two did. And those are the more interesting ones in my opinion. So yeah, works pretty well. You know, like some of them, like they tend to only like really have interesting effect with like one of the modules, maybe two, but he's pretty good with all three of them, and that's pretty nice. In terms of comparison, here he is with Core Class Transformer, G1 Transformer. Here he is with a BotBot. This time I chose a different BotBot, more appropriately piratey themed to match him. And then last but not least, here he is with the original Jack Static, just so you can see some of the differences here. This guy's kind of like maybe a younger version of Jack Static or something before he lost his legs and maybe before the color on the oil drum rusted away or whatever. I don't know. You could impose that narrative onto it. The only thing that really stands against that is this guy has a bit more like beaten up decals on his headpiece here, which the original didn't have. But otherwise, you know, they're pretty similar. Obviously, just he's got the peg leg and the hook arm, whereas he's got two solid arms and two solid legs. And the two solid legs definitely make him a lot more stable. I think I still generally prefer the original color scheme and like, you know, arrangement of parts just because like this guy kind of steers more into that piratey themed, having the peg leg and the hook hand. Just unfortunately, that does make him a little bit less stable. Let me see if I swap the leg pieces here, maybe this one will work a little bit better to keep him standing upright. Oh yeah, that definitely feels a little bit tighter. Hey, there we go. And he doesn't really need it since he's got you know, two legs, so he doesn't really need the second one to be that solid. That works. There we go. You know, like all these junk bots, you're probably gonna find some variance with the parts tolerances in terms of like the ball joints and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know. In terms of how to rate this guy, it's a little bit tricky because like, you know, I do like him, and I think if I had gotten him first, I might even like him better than the original Jack Static. I just kind of have that, I guess, loyalty to the original one since he was the first one I got. But you know, they're both good in their own different ways. The only thing that I'd really change about him in particular is maybe use some different piece up here so that the arm wasn't quite as floppy, and then just get rid of this thing. I do think it looks better with it on, but it's just so prone to falling off that you know, it's not really worth it being there. But since I already have a Jack Static that I really like, I kind of decided to scrap this one and just use it for different parts. I do like this guy. I think he looks good. It's just like I don't need two separate Jack Statics, even if they have slightly different parts. So I've decided to use his parts for other stuff, like this guy. I think he's pretty fun. I've decided to use a lot of the same Jack Static parts, but using a few different things here. And I'm really pleased with this one. Like, you know, a lot of my my sort of MOCs, I guess, for junk bots, I'm not like, you know, I don't think I do quite as good a job as the original designs, but I like this guy a lot. You know, he's got some similar themes. He's got a kind of a peg leg thing going on here, but with a wheel, and has a little cane of like, I have a bunch of this piece and I've never really known how to use it, but I like it in this build. And what's nice is, you know, it's balanced in a way where he actually doesn't he's not actually resting on the cane piece. He can still hold his arm up in the air, so he's pretty stable, but you know, he still has that look of like he's, you know, balanced on one cane. And then I've decided to keep the little LED piece on him here to light up his little walkie-talkie head, and of course the ooze from the Jack Static body. And I like that, you know, just an idea of a sort of different build here. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to him. Again, pretty good junk bot. I really like the original Jack Static, and you know, this guy is, I think, just as good. It's really just a matter of preference, and I do think I like the original one just a little bit better. Again, might just be because I got him first, so I feel like you know, a weird sort of bias there. Or it might be because, you know, I like that he does a bit more of the piratey thing with the peg leg and the hook arm. Either way, you know, they're really both good. Here he is with his little instruction sheet there. I don't know if I showed that off. Interesting. He doesn't actually, doesn't even in the instructions show putting that badge on him, just shows it in the completed picture. So, you know, Even I think they know that this the badge doesn't really stay on him super well. Oh, it's staying on him pretty well now, but yeah. It's very hit and miss with the little tiny pieces like that. But anyway, that's pretty much all there is to them. If you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing. I do reviews every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Without further ado, here we have Hexbug JunkBots Factory Collection Jack Static.